Day 3 of the Bluebirds pre-season camp here in Germany, and with the players turning their attention to Saturday's doubleheader against Osnabrück and St. Pauli, we hear a Bluebirds player instead turn the cameras on the club's new Director of Performance, Dr. Ryland Morgans. A recent arrival here at Cardiff City following spells at Liverpool and Swansea, and of course his stellar work with the Welsh national setup, Dr. Morgan sat down with the club's head of communications, Mark Denham, to discuss, amongst other things, some of the more original training techniques we've seen introduced this week, how his football philosophy dovetails with that of new head coach Paul Trollope, and how he sees his role within the giant puzzle that is the modern football environment.
Pre-season's always a long, tough time of the season. Players coming back in from having a break. Players being away from their family when we're in a place like Germany, but yeah, it's finding the fine balance between working hard, like you say, and keeping smiles on faces. Because I think if you lose that, then you're only going in one direction. So yeah, it's definitely about finding the right balance.
Your appointment was written about in local press. People were saying that Cardiff City have got somebody who's going to change the philosophy, perhaps, of the way things are done. Can you tell us a little bit about your philosophy?
It's very much just linked about how the manager wants to play. So if the manager wants to play in a certain way tactically, then that will obviously have a significant impact on how players perform physically. And therefore that has an impact on my role in terms of we have to get players to be able to physically deal with those tactical demands for a manager so they can make sure that they can undertake their role within the team. So there's a scientific approach to it, and it's, as you say, maybe a modern approach. But basically it's getting the players right for their role, fit for purpose if you like, and making sure that players are able to do that within a game, and then between Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday being able to quickly recover and go again. So Paul wants to go with a high press, and there's a physical emphasis to being able to high press certainly over a 90-minute game, but you won't press for 90 minutes. You'll do it over specific time points through the game. And recognising those time points so that very much becomes a global approach to conditioning players for football, because there's obviously a large part of it is tactically driven, and obviously that comes straight directly from the manager. So being able to provide that support is pretty much where I hopefully fit into the puzzle.
We see some great shots of I mentioned the smiles of the boys really enjoying some of the drills they're going through, the rugby exercises we saw yesterday, almost taking the ball off each other. Is making the boys work hard but getting the most out of them and getting those smiles all about keeping things fresh and mixing things? Yeah,
there's an element of having variety and making sure that what they get stimulated by mentally ticks the box for what I want them to be stimulated by physically. As I said, that then links into the tactical strategy for the day, for the week, for the game that we're coming up with. But yeah, every day we'll have a consistent theme about how we're going to prepare the players before they get on the grass. That will be linked to what they're doing on the grass, and then any gym-based individual work before or after, again, that will be linked to what they're working and how they're working, or how we're getting the muscles to work and contract while they were on the grass in football-based content. So I think that's the biggest emphasis, is that everything has a foundation of fitness and science, and it's about making sure that we can apply that in a very football-specific manner that allows the manager and the coaches to work tactically on the players while they're working physically. So it's almost kill the two birds with the one stone.
Paul mentioned, of course, it's been a busy summer for you, Marge, Paul and Paul Harris, of course, and it would almost be remiss not to take that energy and that positivity from the Wales camp into the Cardiff City camp. That must be top of the agenda.
Yeah, I think when we came home, that was probably our first opportunity to witness and see firsthand what it has actually meant to the country and to the people of our country, which was very moving. It was quite an emotional day, I think, for everyone, because everyone was tired at the end of the tournament, and it's emotional. You've been away from your family for quite a long period of time, so to come back and get the reception that we did was in our home capital city, which is obviously our club capital as well. Yeah, that was an emotional day, and it was very much nice to be part of, and we've already spoken as staff that we have to try and capitalise on that and maximise the high that is football, Welsh football, and ultimately we're the capital of the country, so hopefully we can certainly maximise that.
And it gives you a great start, of course, knowing these gents that I've just mentioned. You as a working staff now, working as a unit to sort of convey that to the players. It all helps, doesn't it, knowing each other?
Yeah, definitely. I've also known Lenny for about 15, 16 years. So James Rowbury, another one I've known for a lengthy period of time. But the ones you've mentioned, then yeah, it is always nice when you're the new member of staff that you do know a few familiar faces, and it's almost, we've just adopted the way we worked within Wales and try to shift that across as closely as we possibly can into Cardiff's environment. It seems like it's worked well at the moment. Time will tell. It's the start of a long journey for this season, but yeah, certainly having familiar faces around, and I know how they work. I know how the manager Paul wants to work on the grass. He knows what I'll be looking for on certain days. So I think between a working group, it's a good complement of staff.
There's some experienced players here: David Marshall, Peter Whittingham, Craig Noon, Aaron Gunnison, boys who've played with this club in the Premier League. How receptive have they been in particular to the practices and techniques that you've brought from Wales and Liverpool?
They're footballers, and everything we do is football. So even if there's a large physical conditioning component to it, there'll always be a ball there, and there'll always be something linked to, as I said, the tactical strategy that Paul wants to work on for that given day or that given week. So for a football player, they can't really complain because they're playing football, and every element is just condensed down to make it a real strong conditioning practice. So the feedback has been positive. You're never going to get gushes of feedback from players, but as you said, that the smiles on the faces probably helps.
And of course that ties into my last question about character. It's all well and good having top-class footballers. You need the right mentality, you need the right character in camp, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. It's like you are in cabin fever mode, certainly when you're away here, but over a long, lengthy season, then the mental strength of players when, as I said earlier, you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, that's a huge part. We're going to go to some tough away venues, we're going to have some tough opponents at home, and it's that mental resilience that will certainly dig deep at times and allow us to maybe pull out draws or wins when Monaga we may have been backs against the walls, if you like, but that comes from having an inner confidence of your technical ability, which you've mentioned several players are technically very good, but also that reflects on how physically fit and fresh they feel in games. It's all a bit of a combined approach that you get one right, you get the physical aspect right, you probably get the mental freshness and the confidence from that. They take that into the game, and hopefully that gives them that little bit of mental strength that when we are having a tough game, tough opponents, which we will, that we can dig deep and find what we need.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.